Washington Journal continues.
We're talking about regulation and job creation with Diana Furchtgott-Roth, who is the Director of the Center for Employment Policy at the Hudson Institute. Welcome to the program.
It's great to be with you, Rob.
In our previous segment, we had been talking about the legacy of Ronald Reagan 30 years after his inauguration. And you bring up the connection between his statement on regulations and the statement that the current president, Barack Obama, just made. Tell us about that.
Exactly, yes. In February 1981, Ronald Reagan issued an executive order that the costs of regulations have to be lower than the benefits. In other words, the benefits have to exceed the costs. He did an executive order that's right here in front of you, and this was one of the beginnings of regulatory reform. Actually, Jimmy Carter had moved in the direction of looking at cost benefits of regulations. And then Ronald Reagan continued that with his executive order. And President Clinton also had an executive order in 1993 when he came in.
So taking a look at the executive order, it says general requirements in promulgating new regulations, reviewing existing regulations, and developing legislative proposals concerning regulation. All agencies, to the extent permitted by law, shall adhere to the following requirements. A. Administrative decisions shall be based on adequate information concerning the need for and consequences of proposed government action. And B. Regulatory action shall not be undertaken unless the potential benefits to society for the regulation outweigh the potential cost to society. And it goes on.
Exactly.
So tell me draw a line between this executive order that President Reagan put out and the recent executive order that President Obama put out. Is it basically the same thing, just being repeated over and over again?
Exactly. They're very similar. But what's really interesting is that President Obama in the past 2 years should have been complying with the law already. He should have, and we have an Office of Information and Regulatory Analysis that's part of the Office of Management and Budget. And this should already have been evaluating the costs and the benefits of different regulations. And all the executive branch agencies should also have been complying with this. So if President Obama is suggesting that this is new, then his administration has been breaking the law up to this point. In other words, they are already doing this.
So what, in your opinion, moved the president, current President Obama, into making this declaration? Was he concerned that he was, in fact, breaking the law?
No, I think that he wanted to show that he cared about jobs. He knows that regulations can stifle job creation. He wanted to care. On the other hand, there are many regulations and laws promulgated in the first 2 years of his administration and that are now on the website, the Regulatory Information website, that cause immense hardship to employers, make it very difficult for them to hire new workers. I mean, if you take one small example, in the healthcare law, if you have 51 or more workers in your firm, you have to pay a penalty of $2,000 per worker per year if you don't have the right kind of health insurance. So having a basic plan with catastrophic health insurance, if you're insured against traffic accidents or cancer, that's not enough. It has to be a qualified plan. Otherwise, you pay $2,000 per worker per year. That means if you have 48 workers, you're going to say, well, I'm sure not hiring more than 2. And if you have 55, you're saying, well, how can I contract out work and maybe get down to 50 so I don't have to pay the penalty? And the way the computations go, moving from 50 to 52 workers costs an employer $44,000 a year. So that's a big disincentive to employment. And then you have the financial regulation law that set up 29 offices of minority and women inclusion for financial firms. So if you're a financial firm, you have to make sure you have fair inclusion of women and minorities. And that's not the same as anti-discrimination, because right now under the law, if a minority or a woman applies for a job and you don't take them and it's on the grounds of gender or race, you've broken the law. But this means you have to have fair inclusion even if no one's applied. So you could be breaking the law even if no Hispanic, no Pacific Islander has applied and you don't have them on your staff.